Okay, guys, so I think we will get started. There is two screens, like I mentioned. So there's a camera on my table, which is called the Nappy screen. You can pin that if you like, and then there's me. So I will be switching between the two, but I'll let you know when I'm going to do some sort of a demo, and that you should have a look at that screen. I also have a couple of slides, but I'm aware that it's 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, so I'm not going to over PowerPoint anybody, but I think it's important to, because lots of people like to read, some people will like to hear, and some people will like to see visually. So you've got a combination of information. So it's going to be very relaxed, informative. I'm just going to show you some examples of how cloth nappies work in our family, and some various concepts. It's the basics around washing, storing, how to use them when you're out and about. And then I will show you different types of nappies. It's really very easy. People feel like it's overcomplicated simply because there's lots of terms or names that you're not familiar with. But obviously the easiest thing to do is you use by trying them out. But yeah, so you'll get a good overview today, and then you can decide what's right for you or your family. So I'll just pop on my slides, share my screen, this one here. Go back to the start and slideshow. Okay, so you should be able to see that. The cloth nappy life basics. So basically, cloth nappy life basics is that there is an absorbent part, which is the outside layer, and an absorbent part, which is the inside part, and a waterproof part, which is the outside piece. If you can remember one piece, that's all you really need to take away. And a lot of the parts are interchangeable. So you could buy one nappy, but the absorbent part from this would work with a waterproof part from another nappy. So they are interchangeable. So if you have a selection of both pieces, you can basically put together a nappy ready to go on the baby as you go along, or as it comes out of the laundry. So you use the nappy, you wash the nappy, and you reuse the nappy, and you can use it on subsequent children. So lots of families will have bought a set of nappies at the start, will do them right up until 3 or 4 babies later, and maybe they need to just top up on a couple of things here and there. But the other piece to remember is that babies are quite different, and even siblings, in terms of shape and size. And one nappy which fits great on the first baby might not fit as well on the second baby, but you can make adjustments. And this is, nappies come with all snaps, little buttons down the front for you to adjust the size and the height. And even as the baby grows, like I have a 9-month-old, and I'm on sort of the second biggest setting on some of the nappies, but I actually used the biggest setting when she was about 6 months old, because she was bigger before she started moving, but now she's moving, she's after getting skinnier again. So you kind of go up and down in terms of the size of the nappies. So I'm going to cover over the two most common questions that came up, which were, how many do I need? How do you deal with poo, and the laundry? Because all of those things are relevant no matter what type of nappy you decide to go for, or if you decide to go for nappies. Everything we're going to cover in the first half of this will apply, whether you're buying newborn nappies or nappies for bigger children. Everything will cover, so it'll be relevant for everyone. So how many nappies? So I'm just going to show you a quick picture, because I actually took a picture of my nappy station from last night, just to give you a visualization of what does a nappy stash look like. So I have about, I would say, probably 30 nappies on the go. So there's 9 nappies there which are ready to go. And then this is my laundry basket here. So there's probably another 12 or 15 nappies in there. So if you think about it, it's almost like having you have 2 mini stashes. You've got the stash of nappies, which you are going to be using today and tomorrow. And then you've got a stash of nappies, which are somewhere in your laundry routine, as in they're in the basket, ready to go in the washing machine, they're on the line, they're in the hot press. So you've kind of got two lots that you're working off. And the nappy routine becomes very much part of the family, as in, okay, this nappy has just come off the baby, it goes into the wet bag, or it goes into the basket in the laundry, and everybody knows what stage it's at. If the nappy wash is just finished, I need to spin that, or will I hang that washing out? So it's not just down to one person to be the sort of nappy expert in the family. You can write the nappy laundry routine down and pop it on the machine, so that everybody knows what stage it's at, and can share the load. So yeah, that was so this is my nappy stash here. There was 9 nappies ready to go. I've got a little stack of fleecy liners, and then there's a mixed selection of extras. Oh, I can only see slide 1. Can no one see that picture of the nappies? Oh yeah, okay, Leah's saying yes. Okay, grand. Okay, great. Yeah, and there's my wet bag. I don't know if you can see that as well. Wet bag is just hanging on the door. So that's upstairs in my nursery room. So if I do a change upstairs in the nursery room, I pop the used nappy into the wet bag. And then when I come downstairs, with my wet bag, I just pop the laundry into the basket. So I'm going to cover over. Cool. So the next slide, which is dealing with poo, which is the most common question. And if you are, I suppose you might as well be aware of this and how you manage it, because no matter what kind of nappy you use, you're going to have to deal with a poopy nappy from a baby. So the first 6 months are the easiest stage because the poo is water soluble. It simply washes away in your washing machine. You change the baby, the nappy comes off, it goes immediately into a wet bag or wherever you are storing your nappies, and then it can go straight into the machine. You will do a rinse cycle, which removes all of the soils from that, and then you can do a long cotton wash afterwards to wash the nappy. So you don't need to do anything with liners or removing the poo before 6 months, before they start solids. After 6 months, the poo should be removed from the nappy before you put it into the washing machine, because it's not water soluble. So I have actually got a demonstration using food for poopy. We haven't done this before, so we're going to have to see how it goes. But if you look on the little camera, so this is a newborn nappy. It's a really small little wrap. It's actually a secondhand one, just because I didn't want to sacrifice one. The food poo in this is mustard and yogurt today, so just to be aware. So what would happen with the nappy change? You've got the absorbent part, which is this here, the waterproof cover, and then this is a fleecy liner. I put a fleecy liner into every nappy because with fleecy, you can use the fleecy liner is a stay dry layer, so the baby, this doesn't get wet. I mean, if you take a fleecy jumper out of the washing machine, it's almost dry when it comes out. It doesn't absorb water. So this is why you would put fleecy liner into the nappies. The babies don't, it stays dry next to their skin. So the poop is on this. I would put this entire piece, goes immediately into my wet bag, and then into the washing machine at the end of the day. I would do a quick rinse cycle to rinse out everything. And then I would just simply pop it into my laundry basket to keep it dry until I have enough nappies to do a big wash. So you then have your next nappy ready to go on your baby. I have it ready to go with a fleecy liner and an absorbent piece, and that goes onto the baby. So that would be your situation up until you introduce solids to them. You don't need to take the poo out. You don't need to do anything. You literally just put the entire thing into the bag and put it all into the washing machine. Very easy to deal with. Can't pin the screen when the slide is on. Okay, so let me get rid of the screen share. Stop screen sharing. Apologies. Okay, I can't see. Oh, okay, hold on. Let me go back. I have to fish my mustardy nappy out of the wet bag again. Okay, let's go again. So can everybody see the nappy screen camera? Yeah, okay, good. Sorry. So here's your nappy. This is my mustardy poopy. Yeah. So take it off the baby, give the baby a clean. This entire piece can just come straight up and goes into the wet bag. You don't need to do anything else. You just put the next nappy onto the baby. At that stage, it's water soluble, so it will wash away in the washing machine when you have enough of them to do a wash. Then at the 6-month-old baby stage, it does get a little bit different because you need to remove the poo before you put it into the bag. So how do we remove poo? So this is a little liner. It's a disposable liner. You don't flush this. You could flush it, but it wouldn't break down in the sewage system. It really needs to go into the waste bin, and it will break down then when it's exposed to light in about six weeks. But this is a disposable liner. This is what you use for removing poo at the 6-month-old stage. So this is my poopy nappy from this morning. It's this is chutney, I think, is my demonstration item. So this has got a fleecy liner in it, and it has got a disposable liner. So this is the poo situation. So this is how you deal with it. You take out this piece, And this goes into your waste bin, either beside the toilet or wherever you have a waste bin, wherever you're doing your change of nappy. And then whatever you have left on your fleecy liner, if there is poo on it, that gets tipped into the toilet or gets removed with a piece of tissue, which I have somewhere. Not sure. Anyway, so you can use a piece. If there's any residual poo left on any of these liners or nappies, you would just remove it by holding it over the toilet and shaking it, or take it off with a piece of tissue paper, and then it goes into your wet bag for the nappy wash. So that's how you deal with poo. That's how you address the situation. There is, I mean, it's kind of, when I'm at the stage where like there's one bowel movement a day in my house. So it happens in the morning, and generally for the rest of the day, I know, okay, there's not going to be any more poopy nappies. They're just going to be wet, and it's pretty straightforward. But that's all that there is to it. So people have a misconception that if you use cloth nappies, there's going to be a whole basket of poopy nappies in my laundry room. There's really not. These are my actual nappies. Like these are all of these happened with a poopy liner, and I threw it away. So there's none of that really, to be honest with you. So that's the poo side of it. I will ask if anyone has questions or anything at the end. We can cover that. But what to do when it happens if you're out of the house and you don't have, I don't have access to a bin or whatever the case may be. You simply just use a wet bag. A wet bag is a fantastic item to have either in your car or in your nappy bag. So, I mean, if a pooey nappy happens in the back of the car or wherever you are, just shove the entire thing in here, and you can deal with it when you get home. You can, remove the liner and put it in the bin then. Or if you are with the childminder or whatever the situation is, give them a spare wet bag and they can change the nappy and just put everything in here, and you can deal with it when you go home. Okay, I'm going to talk about washing then, which is the next. It's the next piece in relation to it. That's the other piece we get asked a lot about. So I'm going to go back to my screen share for a second. This one. Yeah, so dealing with poo, washing and drying. So you don't need to have the camera screen on here. So washing and drying. So used wet nappies, store them in an airy basket is ideal. So you can see the one I have here. If you don't have room for an airy basket like this, then this kind of a mesh net is perfect. Something that lets air circulate. I suppose you don't need to have them stored wet or soaking in anything. They're clean in your washing machine, so you just want to keep them with air circulating until it's time to put them in the washing machine. The wash routine that I follow is by a group called the Clean Cloth Nappies Routine. I have it up there on the slide. They have a fantastic website. It's an Australian group, and they've lots of videos and demos and everything. And I think they're great. So that's a useful resource to go to if you want more information about washing. So this is called basically dry paling. It's quite an American term, but basically you keep nappies in a dry, airy place until you are ready to wash them. Typically, they won't be there for longer than a day, maybe 2 days, until you are going to do a wash. And then you use wet bags when you're out and about of the house. So if you're out for the whole day, use a wet bag. And when you come home, you're going to throw them into the washing machine and do a rinse wash, and then stick them in your airy pail. So the rinse cycle is basically to remove solids and rinse out any wee before you do a big wash. So you want the nappies to get washed in hot water, hot soapy water, and that's mostly clean. The long cotton cycle introduces new water at various stages during the cycle. So that's why you would use that one. I wouldn't use an eco cycle, or I wouldn't use a wash cycle that has got a pre-rinse built in, because it uses the same water over again. So washing machines are getting very eco-friendly, I suppose, and they tend to recirculate water. So you want to make sure you do a rinse wash beforehand and the water is all removed. And then you do a main wash, which will have fresh water in it. So the main wash I do is actually a long 40-degree wash. That's more than enough. You want to have enough nappies in the wash that they will agitate together and move around, but not so much that they are stuck and that they can't circulate. So again, the Clean Cloth Nappies actually has got a video on their page of you can see the washing machine spinning around, so which gives you an example of this machine is too full or this machine is not full enough, basically. So you don't put any softener into the washing machine with them, because softener can kind of build up in the nappy and it might cause it to repel water over time. And we also would use bio washing powder, simply because of the enzymes in it, to remove any residual soiling that's on there and make sure they're well cleaned. And then in relation to drying, you can air dry them outside on a clothes horse in a hot press. A dehumidifier is fantastic, or you can tumble dry them on a low heat. So I would typically, my routine would be to leave them to sort of hang dry either on the clothes horse in the hall or on the clothes horse outside somewhere, and then get them to about 80% dry and then tumble dry them at the end and fold them up. So it just becomes part of another, it's like another set of clothes. It really just becomes part of another set of laundry. That is basically the wash routine. So in my house, I will do a pre-rinse twice. So I will have 2 lots for a rinse, and then I will typically have enough for a big wash, and I will bulk it out with little tea towels or dishcloths if I don't have enough, just to bulk up the laundry with extra small things. So that is in relation to washing. And I'm now going to talk about different types of nappies, because that's probably what you are almost interested in. How do I stop the screen share here? Okay, so we're going to talk about some different types of nappies, because everything up until this point is relevant, whatever type of nappy you decide to go for. Actually, I want to show you my little nappy tree. So give me 1 second. Yeah, so different types of nappies here. So you can see this on the screen. There's, I would say that if you decide to use cloth nappies, 80% of what you are going to use will be one of these items that are on the screen here on the left. And a feature, the name of the nappy typically comes from a feature of that particular nappy. So I'm going to show you, it's easier to understand when you can see them. So you've got I'm going to show you an all-in-one nappy. An all-in-one nappy is called an all-in-one nappy because it's all one piece. Basically, that's everything is attached. There's no extra clicking in or stuffing in. That's what's an all-in-one nappy. I'll just show you down here on the screen. So this is the absorbent piece. It's like it's called a snake, sometimes a long snaky tongue. So you can fold it whichever way you like. So for example, if you've got a little boy, you fold it more towards the front. If you've got a little girl, more towards the middle or towards the back. But an all-in-one nappy is all one piece. The benefit of that is that when you hang it on the washing line, you need one peg and you can hang it. And when you take it off, you just fold it up and it's ready to go. I'm just going to show you one other version. This is also an all-in-one nappy, but it doesn't have a long tongue. It has a sort of I don't know what you want to call that. It's attached at both sides, but it's all one piece, the whole thing. So there's 2 absorbent layers, but again, there's no stuffing or attaching. And when you hang it on the washing line, it hangs in one piece, and then you take it off in one piece. And I suppose in comparison to, I'm going to show you a pocket nappy, which is this one here. And this is where you will notice the difference. A pocket nappy basically comes from the name. It has got it has a pocket at the back where you're going to push the absorbent inserts. I'll show you down here. There's the pocket. And these are the absorbent inserts. So it's exactly the same concept. You've got a waterproof outer layer and an absorbent internal part. So you pop these into the pocket at the back. This is very common, this nappy staple. It's really easy to use and it's quite versatile because you can put in different options into the pocket depending on your baby. Show a close up of the buttons. Yeah, I will show the buttons then. So when it comes to hanging and drying, this is very quick because it comes in 3 pieces. You can hang it and dry it. However, there is a little bit more work involved because when you take it off your laundry, you then have to put these pieces back inside the nappy. For a baby up until maybe 4 or 5 months, you probably only need to use one of the inserts. So I've only put one in there now. And then as your baby gets older, you would probably need to add the second one. I'm going to talk about the buttons at the front. So you've got a set of adjustable, these are called snap risers, basically. So you snap down the buttons to the size of your baby. You can adjust it. So this is, it's called a birth to potty. So this nappy, nappies have got different weight ranges. But you would snap it down to the smallest setting for a younger baby, and then up to the biggest setting for a bigger baby. But like I mentioned earlier, I mean, I had my 6-month-old on the biggest setting simply because she had very chunky legs. So I needed to have the risers up to in order to get the right fitting, whereas now we're down a section. So babies will get wider, and then as they start moving, they'll get longer, and then they kind of fill out again and they get wider. So you just kind of adjust. Now, it's not a case of, you don't need to adjust it every time. Like you will know, okay, we're currently on this button setting, and maybe every 6 or 8 weeks, it's a bit like baby grows. You might need to size up and thinking, oh, I think I'd get a better fit if I opened this button. Let's just try that. And if it works, then you're like, okay, we're now on the next button setting for these nappies. So that's a pocket nappy. And I'm going to show you the other style, which was an all-in-2 nappy. I've got 2 versions for this. So the hint is in the name. An all-in-2 nappy needs 2 pieces to make one nappy. So this is an all-in-2 nappy. So it has 2 pieces. You snap in this piece to make one nappy. So it's very similar to the long one. It has a long absorbent insert. Take that bit off. So you can then fold it whichever way you like. But an all-in-2 nappy needs 2 parts to make one nappy. The same concept, you can fold this piece whichever way you like, and this one actually comes with an additional booster that you can add in. So nappies can come with all sorts of different absorbency. I'm just going to show you that one. So that's an all-in-2 nappy. These come in a version that you can wipe and reuse. So when it comes to nappy changes, you can just change this part and not change the outside. That can be very handy. So I'm going to show you a version that you can wipe. This one here has got like a kind of a material on the inside, which you can't really wipe. You can leave them buttoned up when they go into the wash, or do you need to open them? Okay. You can leave them buttoned up. But so for example, I'll show you here. I'll show you here. If you are on the tiniest setting, so this is the same nappy I just showed you on the tiniest setting, it's snapped right down. You would need to open that up for the wash because you've got all these little bits of elastic on the inside, which might not get fully washed if they're fully buttoned up. But I mean, that's it unbuttoned. Very fast process. You can unclick. At the moment, I'm on the second rise setting. So as in, like, I've only got the very front one closed. I typically don't, I put it into the wash like that. Sometimes for drying, it can be a bit faster if you unbutton it. But yeah, no, typically, so if you're on the very smallest setting, yes, unbutton them to wash them. If you're on the bigger setting, you probably don't need to, you'll get away without it. But yeah, I'll show you that nappy again. So, oh yeah, I'm going to just go back to the all-in-2 nappy that you can wipe. So this is an all-in-2 nappy that you can wipe. So it has got a click-in piece. So at nappy change time, you would have, you could have maybe 6 of these during the day. I can't see the nappy on the screen. I can't see the screen at the moment. Oh. Can anyone see this nappy here? Yeah, okay. So, no problem. Yeah, it might be if you can't see it, if you double click onto the one called nappy view, you should be able to see it. So the snap in insert. So at nappy change time, you could just change this piece this cover, there's absolutely zero absorbency in this. It's just waterproof. So there's nothing for we to soak into on this. So you could then just change the internal piece. So you just snap in a new one of these covers and off you go. So when it comes to laundry, you are only generating a used one of these each time. So it cuts down on the amount of laundry. It's a good idea to have, during the daytime, to have two covers on the go. So you would use one cover at nappy change, switch to the other, leave this one to dry, and then switch back to the next one at the next nappy change. So you interchange them. So you would cut down on your amount of laundry, and it's also a little bit more cost effective because you can buy the pieces slightly cheaper than buying a full nappy. So sorry, yes, but it's difficult to keep flipping between the screens. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'll stick to one or the other. Fine, no problem. I'll stick to this view here, and I will get rid of that one. Let me see. Remove the pin from there. Okay, so I'm going to come back to nappy rash when we come to issues and covering from there. So I've covered, those are the three different nappy styles. So an all-in-one nappy, which is one piece. You don't need to snap in anything extra. That's it. The pocket nappy, where you stuff at the back, and then an all-in-two, which you can snap in different versions. So that's probably going to cover 80% of the type of nappies you will see or that you will use on the market. There is a couple of other options. So I'm going to show you that, which is a fitted nappy. I'll go back to my little screen share here. Let me just move. You might need to move your video to either the bottom or to the top to be able to see that. You can see them here. So fitted nappies and covers, which is what you might see if you Google cloth nappy. You would probably see a picture of a baby with a really fluffy little bum like this. So this is a fitted nappy. So the entire nappy is absorbent. It goes all around the baby. So it's compared to the other ones where the absorbency is mostly in the middle. This fitted nappy, there is absorbency everywhere. This is excellent for nighttime use and for napping. So you wouldn't use this nappy all of the time, but it's handy to have in your stash. If you're going to put them down for like a 3 or 4 hour nap, this is what I would rely on. It needs a waterproof cover because the nappy itself is fully absorbent. And so the covers can come with either snaps or Velcro, and that's basically a fitted nappy. There is a whole section of folded and flat nappies, which I am not going to talk about today because I don't know, like all of the rest of them are much easier to use, but you can be aware that there are a whole lot of options with that you can fold nappies and hold them together with little snappies. I wouldn't start there, to be honest with you. I think there's easier ways, and it's difficult to show on a video all the various folds. So I would start with any of the other ones would work. Okay. Let me then cover extras to be aware of. So that's just a written version of basically what I discussed. All of the different types, hybrid nappies, which can combine various features. You will see different nappies which will say they're an all-in-one and a pocket. So basically, that's a nappy that has got a piece attached, and it also has a pocket that you can stuff the insert into. The nappy companies are constantly coming up with creative ways of marketing their nappies and ways to make them more appealing. So they're like, well, why don't we just take the best pieces from all three and make them into one super nappy? So you'll see them, you can read the descriptions. Once you understand the features, you'll understand what they're talking about. If it says it's an all-in-two pocket nappy, it's like, well, I understand then it's a snap-in piece, and it also has a pocket that I can stuff extra things into. So that's kind of the different types of nappies. I'm going to cover inserts, boosters, liners, and I will come back to nappy rash. Let me just have a quick look. Okay, I'll go back to my screen. Let me have a quick look at the questions. What if the baby starts getting nappy rash from the nappy part around the legs if it's rubbing? Okay. Okay, so let me exit this screen. So nappy rash and nappy marks around the legs. So nappy, I haven't never had a nappy rash with these nappies. I would always use a fleecy liner, which is a stay dry piece. in my nappy. The other reason for using a fleecy liner is that you can use nappy cream. So a lot of the labels on the nappies will say no rash cream or no diaper cream, because diaper cream builds up a barrier against the skin, but it also builds up a barrier on the nappy. So if you're using nappy cream on their bum and then putting their bum directly onto the nappy, eventually a coat will build up on this because it doesn't wash out very well in the machine, and it possibly will stop the absorbency passing through. Whereas if you use a fleecy liner, it's okay if there's if nappy cream gets on that, it comes out much easier than in the nappy, because this isn't absorbent. This doesn't really soak up anything, but it acts as a barrier between the baby, the nappy cream, and the nappy itself. So that's around nappy rash. So yes, you will get a mark, or you can get what's called a sock mark around the baby's legs. This is like a sock. I'm just going to show you here. So this part here, when it goes onto the baby's legs, like it can, you need to get a tight seal, tight enough that you won't get any pee or poo escaping out of it, but not too tight that it's absolutely welded onto them. I mean, it's okay if you take off this and there's a red line. If it should disappear within a few minutes. It's a bit like if your socks are too tight, that's what you would get. So you can kind of expect that you can adjust the setting. If it's the nappy doesn't need to be absolutely welded onto the baby. And I'll talk a little bit about fitting here now. I don't have a demo to show you, as in a demo baby or a teddy bear, but yeah, so that's you need to have a tight seal around the legs so that there's no gap. And then at the top of the nappy, you would typically be able to put 2 fingers. So, oh yeah, here. You should be able to put 2 fingers between the baby's belly button and the front so that it's out against, like you don't need to weld it onto them. I don't think I have ever fully closed the buttons at the front. I think I have always had a minimum of 2 or 3 buttons at the front free when I'm closing the nappy. Because generally you don't get anything up the way. Once there's good contact back elastic at the back, that will keep everything in, and sealing around the legs is the main part around fitting. So that's fitting and rashes. Let me have a look. Liners, boosters, and inserts. This is a piece that seems to cause an awful lot of confusion. An insert or a booster is simply an additional piece of absorbency that you could use with any of the nappies that I have shown you. You should be able to, you can add them in to increase the, I'll just show you this one, for example. So this is the all-in-one nappy that I showed you earlier. I'll get about 3 hours out of that nappy exactly as it is. If I added in an additional booster, which I can use, if I added in an additional booster, I'd pop it in here behind before I put it onto the baby, I'd probably get 4 or more hours out of that same nappy. So a booster or an insert is simply an additional piece of absorbency that you can use to kind of upgrade or boost any of the nappies you already have. They come in different materials. I'm going to go back to my slide show. I have it written here. So if you can see down the bottom here, inserts and boosters are simply additional absorbency you can pair with any of the above. Move this video screen. Sorry. So they come in a range of different materials. I've got some over here. I'll take this one here out of this. So they come in a range of different materials. Where's my screen? Is my screen gone? Okay, sorry. Come in a range of different materials. Microfiber is the fastest absorbing material, but it holds the least amount of liquid. So if you buy nappies, probably most nappies will come with microfiber inserts because they're the cheapest, but they are great for younger babies. But as your baby grows, you will probably need to kind of upgrade or add in extra things to make them suit the baby. You can also come in cotton and bamboo. So I've got another version here. Cotton and bamboo. Like they will all say on the label what, so this is, yeah, bamboo. You will find it on the label what they are. So if you look at my little screen there, I've got microfiber on the left and hemp on the right. The majority of the inserts you would need to use will be in the middle, somewhere between cotton and bamboo. you can have a couple of microfiber and a couple of hemp. This is a hemp insert. This has just come out of my drying. So you see, it's quite a rigid material. It dries to the shape that you hang it in. So I had it hanging on the horse like that. That's the shape it dries in. This is like the Swiss Army penknife of cloth nappies because it holds so much liquid for such a small piece of material. You can rub it together or pop it in the tumble dryer and it kind of loosens up again. I just wanted to show you that it goes quite a rigid material. But this is a hemp insert. You typically don't need to start worrying about using hemp until you're probably getting, 6 months plus, or really when your baby starts drinking water from a sippy cup, or if they're, but like every baby is different. I suppose it depends on how much goes in, how much is going to come out. So you might have a baby who's 4 months old who's a very heavy wetter, and you might need to you might be adding in boosters and inserts to nappies immediately, whereas you might have another baby who is the opposite. You might not ever need to worry about a booster or an insert until they're 12 months or 16 months. It might not come up. So it's very baby specific. But if you have a mixed selection, so I would have a handful of these on the go, and I can grab one if I need to. So if I'm going to be out of the house for a few hours and I don't want to have to change a nappy or worry about getting a nappy leak, I will pop an extra booster into one of my nappies because Ava's drinking water and I just want to get through and be okay to come home without needing to sort of change a nappy or swap a nappy over. But those are inserts and boosters. So you've got so microfiber being the fastest absorbing but holds the least, up to hemp being the slowest absorbing and holds the most. Which do you decide? That was another question that came up. How do I decide which nappy to or which insert to use at which time? So again, it depends on the size of your baby, and it is a case of trial and error, because if you're trying to come up with a combination of this insert with this insert, combination of absorbency versus making the nappy too bulky that it won't fit on them correctly. It is a case of trial and error. So if you've got like a big microfiber insert, which is what this one is, it's quite thick, and then you have a thin bamboo insert. I got one here somewhere. Yeah. So this is a bamboo insert. It's quite thin, but it holds quite a lot. This is also a bamboo insert, and it's really skinny. So instead of going for two microfiber inserts, which are quite thick together, I might pair them, a skinny one with a thicker one. The microfiber will absorb very fast, but it won't hold very much. But I'm going to pair it with something which absorbs a little bit slower, but will hold more liquid. So when you buy nappies, they will come with inserts. So start with what you have, learn from there, and then you can decide, okay, I'm going to need to upgrade when I get to 5 months old or 6 months old. I'm going to have some extra things to stuff in. So these are inserts and boosters. It's not complicated. If you're going online and you're thinking, okay, like start with a starter pack or start with just some nappies on their own, particularly if your child is still quite young, see how they get on with that. You don't have to buy extra inserts. If you've got plenty of nappies, you could just change a nappy every 2.5 hours if you don't have enough boosters to boost it up. So for example, I might do a nappy change after a nap at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, but she's going to be going to bed or getting in the bath at 6:30. So I only need a nappy to last me for kind of 2 hours. And so I don't need a whole lot of absorbency in that nappy. So there will be kind of situations where I'm like, oh, well, I don't need to have this super duper, with all of the hemp and everything. A little microfiber insert will do me for a couple of hours, and then she's going in the bath anyway. So that's nappies and boosters. I'm going to have a quick look at whatever else I had on my list, which is tips. And yeah, so new nappies, pre-wash them. Yes, so nappies, when they come, it will be written on the label how much you need to wash. It's a bit like buying a new towel. You might need to wash it 5 or 6 times before it builds up the absorbency. In it, it's the same with nappies. We've covered fleecy liners and nappy cream. Leaks, so I've kind of covered this as well, fit related. The nappy is too loose, the nappy is too tight. The absorbency related, you have the nappy on too long, or you've got the wrong combination of inserts in it, or a compression leak, which is where microfiber can act like a sponge sometimes. So if you've got two microfiber inserts in it and the baby is in a car seat or in a sling, this can absorb up all of the pee, but then it can squeeze it back out if they are sitting for a long period of time. Useful extras. Okay, let me just exit this screen share for a second. Sorry. I don't seem to be able to exit this screen share. There we go. Sorry. Useful extras. Wipes is one thing I want to show you, because it doesn't matter what stage your baby is at, or whether you decide to go with disposable nappies or reusable nappies. Reusable wipes are brilliant because they are much more effective at cleaning hands, particularly hands and face. We use these all the time. They're nice and soft, and you will get you'll get the whole thing done in one go without having to fight, 3 or 4 times with a disposable wipe. I just take a handful and wet them and store them in a little lunchbox for the day, or in a little wet bag if I am going out if I'm going to be out and about, and I put the used ones into the bag with the nappies and wash them all together in there. So reusable wipes are super handy. The other item I wanted to show you was swim nappies, because reusable swim nappies, these are literally just to catch poop. Like, you don't need to buy, definitely do not buy disposable swim nappies, because it's just like, there's no absorbency in them. You're getting into the pool, so they're not designed to hold pee, because they would just soak up all of the pool water if they did. But you can buy a reusable swim nappy, which is adjustable, and they will do them for the amount of times you're going to be in the pool. Reusable swim nappies are brilliant for that. And the other item I wanted to show you was a little vest extender, and I just wanted to talk about clothes. So this piece here is a very useful item. It's more relevant for smaller babies. I don't use these anymore now, but I did used to use them when she was smaller. This will just give you an extra bit of room in your vest, because cloth nappies are bulkier than regular nappies. And you do need to consider that when you're buying clothes. For example, Next and H&M and Tesco, some of them have just got pants that are shaped like a baby wearing a nappy, and then other places, don't take that into consideration at all. So opting for kind of stretchier pants or nappies that have got a shape in them. That was vest extenders. Then wet bags, I've kind of covered them, but they're just a very useful tool for all sorts. Let me see then. Okay, I think I'm pretty much covered. I had a little thing about newborn nappies, and just to show you, was there any other questions? Do you want to start popping them in here and I can go back? Best from the environment perspective, but do you really save the money when you consider the amount of washing? Yeah, so it's definitely, I would say, if you're doing it for one baby, you're probably going to be on par with cost. Maybe save a little bit. Like, it's probably going to spend €1,000 on wipes and on nappies on one child. You might spend maybe €400 or €500 on that in reusables for the same child. So there is a saving, but and I did actually do the sums on it. I think it costs about €60 a year to run a long cotton wash twice a week on your washing machine. So there is obviously a bit of extra washing involved, probably an extra thing of washing powder, but at the same time, you don't have to pay for any extra bins. So like my rubbish bin comes once every 2 weeks. But I only buy a small bin. But I was like, if I had to put nappies in there as well, because it's done by weight, I would probably have to pay a bit extra for that. So you do have to weigh up the difference. And I suppose the cost to the environment, like, I'm not here to demonize, disposable nappies or do any of that. But I suppose long term, you would have to consider it. There's definitely a saving if you move on and have a second child, because you can reuse all of the same nappies again. I had one mum, I was speaking to her there, like, she's onto her 4th baby, and she's got some staple items that she bought with her first child, which she is still using. So there's great life in them, and you can also pass them on. So if you do have one child and you buy all of your items new, and there is a second-hand market. You could sell them on and make costs back. So I think there is definitely a financial saving to be had. You just have to work out what suits you, I suppose. You don't want to use the disposable liners you showed. Can you just rinse solid poop? Yes, you can, absolutely. Yes, that's very possible. So if I got a fleecy liner here, I do. Yeah. So you do not need to use the disposable liner. It's entirely up to you, personal preference. If you want to use the fleecy liner only, yeah, you can do that. So the poop you can just go to the toilet and basically just either hold it over it and it will fall in. You can flush, sort of hold this and flush the toilet and it'll go down that way. I am personally just not at that. Okay, I will do it sometimes if I have to, but I do use a disposable liner. So it's entirely personal preference, which you decide to use. There is no requirement for this piece. And when it gets much easier when your baby is a bit older and they're only having one bowel movement a day. Like I know I only put disposable liner in the first nappy for the day, and then I don't bother with it for the rest because I'm like, well, she's probably not going to poo. If she does, grand, I have a fleecy liner in it. But yes, you don't need to use the disposable piece. So, does anyone want to, if you want to put yourself off mute and ask a question that way, work away. I've pretty much covered. The only thing I was going to show you was some newborn nappies.
Kate,
but yeah.
Sorry, Kate, I think you missed my question there. I was just wondering, would you ever wash nappies with other laundry items? So I know you mentioned maybe towels and that kind of thing, but if you're doing a pre-rinse cycle and then you're putting the nappy into a 40-degree longer wash, would you wash it with other laundry?
Yeah, yeah, I would. You can bulk out. So if you're doing a pre-rinse with to get rid of it, to get rid of any of the solid poo. So then what you're left with is a nappy which is wet, but would still probably have some wee in it, but not a whole lot. Yes, I could bulk that up with tea towels or with small, they need to be small items. So other baby clothes, baby grows, like my t-shirts, I wouldn't put like big things in with it because the nappies might get caught up in jeans or in towels, stuff like that, and then they don't really circulate enough. But yeah, you can bulk it up, no problem at all. And there's a great Facebook group, the Cloth Nappy Chat Group Ireland. I can't remember the exact name, but they are great. That you will find there's a couple of different schools of thought around washing. Some will say that you need to pre-rinse on cold, and then others will say you need to pre-rinse on hot. I've tried both of them out. I prefer pre-rinsing on hot, but it's entirely up to you. But yeah, you can bulk out. Some people tell me they just wash their nappies in with the clothes all the time and they've never had any issues. The only thing is you wouldn't be able to put softener in with them. So if you're happy to wash your clothes without softener, work away. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Kate, hi.
Yeah.
So with the liners, you'd really only use one liner a day unless they're pooping twice or 3 times, or
for the stage I'm at, that's all I'm using. Now it depends on how organized I am. So for example, you saw my little table of nappies. I would have them all ready to go and I would have a fleecy liner in every one of them. I might have a disposable liner in as well if I'm thinking ahead of myself and I have the time, or else I will just have the roll beside me and I will decide, okay, am I putting a disposable liner in this nappy or not? Like if she's had a solid movement already, then I'm like, no, there's not going to be another poo. But sure, they do surprise you now and again. So anyway,
great, thank you.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, the other item which is great is like nappy covers. There's a kind of an awkward stage where, you know, they start solids for the first time, or if you're breastfeeding, sometimes they might not have a bowel movement for several days. And I sometimes would put an extra cover on top of my nappy, because when they do go, there might be a punami. But if you have an extra cover, like that's not going anywhere. It's not like if you could put this, and I actually know people who will use disposable nappies, but they will use reusable covers because that makes that completely bomb proof. So there is an option to combo nappy. Like you don't have to commit to doing this full time. I know lots of people who they use reusable nappies when they're at home, and then on the weekends, or if they're at childminders, they send disposable nappies. They and I had one woman actually, you know, it just depends. You can pick what suits you. Some people will use disposable nappies at nighttime, reusable nappies during the day. It's not an all or nothing. Or if you go on holidays, switch to disposable nappies for that period of time. You don't have to kind of commit to it full time. You can kind of make it work. There's another nappy here. I originally heard about 60 degrees washes. Is 40 really okay? Yeah. So you can, if you look on the label of the yeah. So here, this here says wash at 40, or I don't know if you see it. Wash at 40 or 60. Wash at 40 or 60. So that would be on both of them. The reason why I would wash, I do my pre-runs on 60 because number one, it definitely removes any form of residual solids that are there. And I think that if I'm using a nighttime nappy has been on the baby for 12 hours or so. So it's quite saturated. And a hot rinse wash removes most of the pee from that. Like during the daytime, like daytime nappies are only on for 3 or 4 hours, not very long. But I definitely prefer the 60 for at least one go. That's the, like my nappy laundry comes out. I've never once had a stain or a smell or anything like that. You will see people mention that you can hang items in the sun in order to remove stains. Sometimes, like, you know, certain things can stain. I think it depends on what they eat as well. But if you use a fleecy liner all the time, I've never had anything that has got a stain on it. In relation to laundry, how do Crash's Nursery respond to reusable nappy use? I think they're getting more open to it. I don't know if you saw, I shared a thing on Instagram recently that Brussels are now rolling out reusable nappies in all creches. They won't be able to use the disposable. I think there's 40 creches in Brussels, and they've said that you all have to move to reusable nappies. We're not going to have disposables because there's too much waste. A wet bag that has got this is how you would send, and I actually had a woman as well the other day who sends nappies to a childminder. You can read her story. I actually added it up onto my website. Sends reusable nappies to her childminder. So a double zip wet bag like this. There's a zip here and a zip here. So you would send them with, you would have your 5 or 6 clean nappies in here for the day, along with your wipes. And then as the nappy comes off the baby, you just pop it into the dirty side at the front, into this zip, and they'll send it home with you. So the dirty one goes in here and the clean one goes in here, and you bring the bag home with the baby and then send a fresh bag the next day. You have got the option of nappies with Velcro, which might be easier for creches, for example, because they're more similar to disposable nappies. Velcro definitely doesn't last as long as a snap, but it's fantastic if you're just using it for a creche. So that could be an option. How do you know if the nappy needs to be changed? If she hasn't done a poo, do you need to open it and check if it's wet? So I would typically change every 3 hours at least. You need to open it and check. I don't know. Yeah, I suppose, how would I know? I would just typically look at the clock. I'm like, okay, I've changed her at 12 o'clock. I'll need to change her again before 3:30. And that would kind of be, I would just kind of look at the clock. And I would also know to myself, okay, I kind of have we're sort of in a routine, as in I'm going to probably need 3 changes during the daytime. So I'll have my 3 nappies there. Now and again, I do kind of forget. I look at the clock, oh my God, she's had that nappy on for 4.5 hours. I better go and change it. Or you will start to get a leak. You'll start to notice, oh no, there's a little bit of a damp corner coming on her pants. And I go, oh, I forgot about the nappy. Yeah, so I would just, that's it. I would probably just change every 3 hours. First, this is at the stage that I'm at. For a smaller baby, they're going to be, you know, peeing, and you change them a bit more regularly after feeds, and before feeds, it might be a bit quicker. And actually, there's one more little tip I wanted to show you, which is for the newborn stage. Newborn nappies. This is a newborn nappy. This is, so the all-in-2 system for a newborn is fantastic, because you might need to change a nappy like, I don't know, 12, 15 times a day. I've kind of blurred it all out at this stage. But if you are just changing the internal part, so you change this little piece only, you're going to end up with maybe 12 of these, and you can reuse the white part. So the all-in-2 nappy system is great for a newborn. If you are having a baby and you're thinking, what nappy should I go for? A selection of these, which are pretty cheap, the internal part's pretty cheap, and a selection of covers. You might need maybe 6 covers and 20 or 24 of these little inserts. That would be a great start for newborn option. You can get, just to show you one here, newborn, this is a newborn nappy. You can get newborn nappies which are shaped, and they've got a little, you can see the little hole cut out here for the umbilical. This won't fit them for very long, however, but it is a useful option as well. It's a little all-in-one newborn nappy. But like I mentioned, you can get the nappies that have got snaps down the front, you can make them fit very small. So ideally, you want to get one that you will get the most amount of time out of. So you'll be able to see most nappies have got a weight range on them. So they will say will fit from 8 pounds to 35 pounds. You might get one that says it'll fit from 6 pounds. Yeah, ideally you want the most amount of nappies in the middle range, small amount in the smallest fit range, and then you might, depending on what stage your baby potty trains at, you might end up needing some nappies for the junior size. Like you can get nappies that go up to 70 pounds for bigger children, but you don't need to worry about that until you kind of get there. You can see what you have and how far you can get out of it. Okay, would you recommend going straight to reusable for newborn for the first time, mom, or use disposables for the first week or two and then transition? So I did the second half. Like I bought, I think I bought 2 packs of 40 disposable nappies and some wipes. And I think I was in hospital for 2 nights, and I'm pretty sure I used a whole 40 packet of nappies while I was in the hospital. And then when I came home, I just waited until I found my feet. I think I kind of waited until her poop started to come through as yellow, you know, from breastfeeding, and she started to gain weight again. It was probably at about day 10. And I started to just use them during the daytime when I was at home myself, figured it out. And slowly then I was like, God, I think we bought maybe 1 more packet of nappies after that. And it just depended. I put in my basket, I had reusable options and disposables, and whatever was there, I used. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I didn't use any disposable nappies today. And then all of a sudden it was a week. And then all of a sudden it was like, I haven't bought a disposable nappy or wipe for a whole month. Oh, and it just becomes normal. I definitely think if you learn to use reusable at the outset, it becomes normal to you. You don't know any different. But you can transition. If I was having a baby again, I'd probably be more confident to start, you know, as soon as the meconium passes or all that part is finished, I would probably be happy to start from then. But yeah, you can certainly manage it. And I read in the chat group, actually, there was one woman put up a picture the other day, and she has got a new baby on the way and currently has 2 in nappies, and she's going to have a 3rd baby in reusable nappies. So yes, it's definitely normalized in our house. So other resources or the other thing, so I just want to quickly mention to you, the Cloth Nappy Library of Ireland is a fantastic resource. You can get a lend of a nappy kit, so you can get a loan kit and try out a few nappies for a few weeks, decide what you like, and then send it back. So you can check out that. They also do in-person demonstrations, so you can check and see if there's one in your area. The Clean Cloth Nappy website, Clean Cloth Nappy routine. Yeah, that's fantastic for washing and laundry and any kind of wash related issues. And then the Cloth Nappy chat group on Facebook, which is a group of cloth nappy mums all around Ireland. About 5,000 in there. If you have any issues, or if you've got a fit question, you can take a picture and put it up and they'll give you some advice. Or if you want to know about certain brands or anything, you can ask in there. So I will circulate an email after this with some resources and tips. And I'm over on time now. I thought I'd get this wrapped up sooner, but I didn't. Is that everything? Is there any other questions or queries? Feel free to shout now, or if you want to drop me an email afterwards if I didn't cover something that you wanted to see, do so. Okay. You're all very welcome. Yeah. All right, no problem. I hope that clears.